cracking, y'all? Welcome to the EJ2 Track Rat YouTube channel. For those of you who haven't been here before, my name is Dylan, and I'm a amateur racing driver, amateur race car builder, and an educator in the motorsports space. In this episode, we're going to be making my car prettier. So, previous episode, we made it uglier so that we could race a class and be legal. Now we're going to try and make it prettier, so the opposite. 2 steps backwards, 3 steps forward. That's how the saying goes, right? So we're going to start with the rear bumper on this car, which is currently painted green. The car looks very festive. It looks like it's ready for December already. But it's May, so I think we have like 7 months to go if my math is right. So we're going to bring this out of the garage, and I'm just going to sand it on the car because it'll be a lot easier. And then what we did was I bought some rustoleum. This car is painted in rustoleum safety red for a reason. Reasons like this, because it's easy to get. You don't have to paint match it. It's cheap, right? So if someone hits me and I need to repaint something, just respray it with Rusto Red. The only downside is every single time I talk to a body guy and I'm like, can you do paint work on this car? They're like, yeah, sure. And they say, oh, it's going to be $8,000 in supplies. And I say, can you just use Rustoleum? And they go, absolutely not. So then I'm only going to use real automotive paint. And it's like, I get it because they're putting their name on it. But like, this engine bay was done in spray cans with 2K clear. The side of this car was done in spray cans with 2K clear. It doesn't look amazing. I get it. It's not a pro job, but this is a race car. It needs to look one color and it needs to be sort of shiny, right? I mean, I would say it meets that, except for the one color part, because no one will do the body work on it. All right, she's looking mostly clean, the bumper. I sprayed it with Goo Gone to get all the grease off, get all the tire marks off and stuff. Then I sprayed it with spray away window cleaner. So now we're gonna pull it off and we're gonna start sanding. All right, boys and girls, we got the body shop set up. So this is an original green, obviously, EG bumper that I got for $100. And I mean, at this point, these cars are just, it's vintage racing. They're like 30 years old. That one's 32 years old. It's almost as old as me. And this is in great shape. Probably going to wash it off before I start sanding. I do also have to mask like right here because this little trim piece is black, and if I painted that red, it would drive me nuts. So we're gonna clean it, I think, first, and then go from there. Okay, my friends, backyard painting exercises. So this is 1-inch wide masking tape. I got it because it was cheap, of course. And because I got it was because it was cheap, it's wasting my time, which is like, you know, par for the course, right? With that being said, we had to tape a fine line around where the old paint stops and where the trim starts. The other thing is, because this tape is 1 inch wide, it's harder to bend around corners. So you can see I have like little strips Not ideal because like that's every single little cut is like an opportunity for the paint to seep past. But what I do is I score the edges. Scoring it basically just means taking like a hard object and rubbing it really flat to make sure there's no cracks that the paint can seep through. And of course, with the surface being dry, that helps a lot. But you can see like all these little pieces of tape that are ripped up. It's just like tape that I didn't get the right length for, or that didn't stick very well. So just put it on the side. But this is how I did my bumper originally that got destroyed when I let my buddy do comp school in the car. It wasn't his fault. You know, somebody ran into him, they had a brake failure. But yeah, we're gonna finish up taping this, right? And then we're gonna sand. With the DA sander, it'll make our lives a lot easier. So I'm gonna finish laying down this tape and then we'll start sanding. Right now we're at 400 grit. I'm gonna leave it there and we're gonna lay down the primer. Our primer is just gonna be flat white Rust-Oleum. That's it, right? Now, when I was sanding this plastic, it doesn't sand the same as paint. That's a problem because when you sand the plastic, it like forms these little balls, you know what I mean? And the paint makes powder when you sand it. So because this bumper is so old and there's so many uneven spots, I kind of had to sand it down to the plastic. We're pretty much just kind of like crossing our fingers and hoping that the coat stays on the bumper. This is how I've done it in the past, but the bumper that came on this car, surprisingly, was actually in better shape than this bumper, which is crazy because it didn't look better. But the paint on this, for whatever reason, is just way worse, the sand. And there's a lot of hidden like high and low spots. It is original though. I didn't find any colors underneath of it. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we're remasking this right now. We're done remasking this edge because I sanded through it a couple times. But that's fine. We protected this black trim piece and we're gonna finish taping it up and then I might take it outside and paint it even though it's dark. All right, y'all, the NASCAR race is on. It's a real snore fest. So we're out here painting. We got some Rust-Oleum, so it's flat white base paint, or flat white that we're gonna use as primer. And then we have acetone. We diluted it with 4:1, like I said. And we have the Amazon HVLP gun. So that's not too bad. Good volume, good, you know, spray pattern. So we're just gonna clean the gun out with some acetone and then we're gonna add in our Milky Boy. So that's our little gun stand. It's my vise on a trailer. Yeah. Take the mixing ratios that I mentioned with a grain of salt. I know that the amount of milliliters of paint that added to the amount of solvent was correct, but the calculation for the actual ratio might have been wrong, per my buddy John Byrne, who is a professional painter. Spraying this stuff actually went pretty well. I started out with some pretty short strokes. I should have gone longer and I should have been slower and steadier, but this is my first time spraying paint with an HVLP gun. We got some drips, actually quite a few drips. We went a little heavy on this side, but I'm probably gonna break out the 800 grit sander anyway, just because there's a lot of orange peel and probably areas that I could have sprayed better in general. But yeah, it's a Rust-Oleum paint job, boys and girls. And this is the base coat. Definitely not dry yet. So we'll wait to see what happens with this mess. But it's a race car, y'all. It's a race car. Good morning, y'all. It is the next day. And the clear coat, or not the clear coat, the base coat, the primer, whatever you want to call it, the primer, it came out really good. I think we're just gonna spray the red on it right now. I'll take y'all outside and show you what it looks like. Look at this. It came out really, really good. I mean, really, really good. This is probably, you know, this side is rough, and some of it's rough because the bumper itself is rough. You know, I mean, it is an OEM bumper from like 30 years ago, but for the most part, it came out really good. So I cleaned it with glass cleaner with spray away, which is some really good stuff. And I don't have the disposable cups for my paint gun, so we're using this one. I cleaned the crap out of it with acetone. I also don't have disposable mixing bottles, so rookie mistake number 2. So again, we just cleaned it a bunch with acetone. It would have been cheaper just to get the replaceable mix in cups and call it a day. But I didn't think about it, honestly. I'm just straight up, like that's literally what happened. We have our base coat right here, safety red. This is our primer, flat white, very simple. And we're going to thin this out again, 4-to-1 ratio, acetone or paint to acetone. So what we do is for this bumper, I've been doing 100 milliliters of acetone and an additional 400 millimeters of paint on top of that, and just stirring it up, and that actually covered more than enough for that rear bumper. So we're gonna do the same thing with the red, and hopefully it sprays the same.
I used acetone because it was the solvent I had on hand, but later I learned that if you use a solvent that evaporates too quickly, it is not conducive to good curing, and it also could lead to orange peel. The Alkyl D enamel, which is basically the chemical type of paint that rustoleum is, likes to cure for a long time, so using a less harsh solvent is beneficial.
That's the first coat. Doesn't look too bad. This concrete is a little old and gnarly anyway. I do have clear coat that I'm going to spray on this because I kind of have to, because I get gasoline that spills out of the left side of my car all the time. So we're going to let this dry a little bit. We have, the rest of the paint in that gun, and then we're going to spray probably a second coat. Just get it nice and thick. Yeah, you can see like some of these areas are not perfect, but yeah, again, we're not really going for perfection here, folks. We're just going for something that's shiny that I can put on my race car that matches everything.
For the clear coat, I used a 2-part clear coat from Amazon from a brand called Limeline. It had a very hard finish to it, much harder than the 2-part clear coat you get in spray cans, but you'll see why that doesn't matter later.
Got that crinkle finish, y'all. Heck yeah, bro. Looks so good. It's literally like the worst. It's the worst feeling when you spray on the clear and it gators the entire thing. So I guess I didn't let I probably went too heavy on the base coat, and yeah, I'm gonna have to like remove all this paint somehow. That sucks. Anything for the perfect shot, right? Well, that bumper didn't go as I expected. Well, it kind of went as I expected. You see, rustoleum doesn't cure very well, and as a result, we have run out of time to get this bumper done before we take this car to the body shop. Now, the reason this car is going to the body shop is because in 2023, I was racing and a Spec Miata spun in front of me, and I tried to go off the track to avoid it, and it hit me in the rear quarter while going backwards because the car spun, and instead of the driver putting both feet in, clutch and brake, they didn't. I think they said they didn't know about knockback or something at the time, which whatever. I've made mistakes before, but the car has been damaged ever since. If you look, I mean, you can see it's pushed in pretty good. So rather than try to fix it myself, because I'm sure I could, buy the materials or borrow the tools, I'd rather just have a body shop do it. So given the prices of everything nowadays, doesn't get better. So we're just going to have them pull the dent and lay it up in primer. And I'm still looking at probably $1,000. So we're going to put that bumper back on, as hideous as it is, because they told me that they would like to have the bumper on to shape the quarter panel into it, to make sure they have the shape right and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, we can't repaint it. We don't have time. So I'm gonna throw that on. We're gonna get this car loaded up on the trailer, and then I have vacation coming up in a couple days. I'll be out of the country for, a while. And when I come back, hopefully the car is done. They told me it'll take roughly 3 days to do the work. And I'm gonna be gone for more than that, so we'll see. Anyway, y'all, stay tuned. Put that bumper on. All right. Load it up. All right, y'all, so we dropped it off. We're in Collingdale, PA. It's like just outside of West Philly. And shouts to my boy Chancho for hooking me up on the hookup, finding a shop that would take this piece of work and massage her a little bit. But yeah, I'm just hoping it goes all well. They said it looks pretty straightforward. They're just pulling out the right side quarter, and then they're gonna do some primer, and should be good after that. But keep y'all updated. Hell yeah, brother. You're watching Dylan McFarlane. All right. We got the old girl. She's all laid up in primer. So we're going to do a quick spray job just to get her mostly one color. Or at least, kind of like making sense, right? Not like green and black and red and white and whatever. I'm just going to get it red and black. EJ2 Track Rat, you know what I mean? Welcome back to My Pain is Your Pleasure. If you've ever had the sand partially cured paint, I apologize to you. My condolences, because it sucks. So this was a 2-day affair of more or less 2-day. Let's call it 6 hours, 7 hours, 2 days, 8 hours, probably 8 hours. But we got all the paint off. And unfortunately, we had to strip it mostly down to the plastic. So again, I'm hoping that this Rust-Oleum really grabs onto this plastic and doesn't cause me any issues. There are adhesion promoters that I could be using, but in keeping up with the theme of this build of doing nothing correctly, we are not doing that correctly. So we're not going to do that. So what that means is that we basically hit this with, first we hit it with chemical stripper, then we hit it with a scraper, then we hit it with 200 grit. 200 grit wasn't enough. I went through a bunch of pads, but that's kind of my fault. I should have bought more, like 120 grit, something like that, just to strip off paint. I didn't want to get into the plastic of the bumper, but I got into it anyway. So right now we have this sanded down to 400 grit, which should be good enough for our flat white primer, which is just basically, again, Rust-Oleum. There is a party of mosquitoes or gnats out there. I don't know if you can see it, but I am set. I got the DEET, that cancer-causing stuff, And as I watch, there's a dandelion floating onto this bumper. So I wanted to spray this out here. I wanted to spray it in the garage, but the car is sort of not rolling right now for something really stupid. So I'm upgrading the rear brakes to EP3 rear brake, and I got EP3 front rotors, and that's the rear of the car. So they don't fit, so the car's not going to roll around. I was going to paint it. I was going to pull the car out and just paint it right here because, dust and whatnot. But I guess what we're going to do is we're going to spray it out here and then hope that nothing crazy lands in it. Probably will. And then bring it inside immediately after, as soon as possible, I guess. It's a pain in the ass. I might actually just move it in the driveway. But yeah, I wanted to show you all this. So we got it all remasked off. We've masked this probably 4 or 5 times at this point, just because of all the issues we've had. There are some rough spots here, but you know, I did my best to feather in all of the paint, right? So you can see it's feathered here, right? And then there are still some divots from, you know, just I guess bad prep or whatever, but we tried to feather in everything. And so this primer, or this paint, is sort of acting like a high build enamel, high build primer kind of deal, I guess. You know how we do it low buck. So I guess we're gonna spray this. I did get some disposable cups for my spray gun, so I want to see how those work, and I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. All right, y'all, so here's what we're talking about. Normally you would have a like a hopper that sits on here, but the problem with that is every time you want to do work, or every time you want to paint, you have to clean it, right? So what we have now is we have this adapter kit that allows us to put disposable cups on. I believe it more or less goes like this. So there's this little rim, right? And then there's a disposable liner that goes in here. We can figure out how to make this work. And then this is supposed to go, it's supposed to basically just like press on, I believe. So more or less like this, I think. This allows you to mix, it allows you to do everything all in one. It allows you to mix the paint, then you put it directly on the gun and you spray it. This is from Amazon, so it is not, you know, a fancy name brand kit. Again, we're sticking with the theme of the build, but I don't know, everyone on the Amazon reviews seem to like it, and one of the guys I watch on YouTube uses it, so I imagine it'll be good. We'll see.
What I didn't mention is that the cup that sits on top of the gun now with this disposable system actually has a rim, it has a filter, it has a liner, and then it has an outer cup. The outer cup has the gradations for measurement, and then the liner allows you to dispose of the dirty part of the gun. Same with the filter. So it makes the whole process a lot easier. This second round went a lot better because I changed up the formula for what I was using to spray the bumper with. I started using Magic Hardener and Magic Reducer from Tractor Supply Co. with the same rustoleum paint because it is the same formulation as tractor paint, which is what the Magic stuff is intended for.
All right, it is by no means fully cured, but dude, aside from some of the stray bugs that flew in, I am very, very happy with this. The hardener makes a huge difference, I think. Bugs love it, man. The bugs love flying into paint. So annoying. But, you know, for an outside paint job, it looks really good. I'm happy with this.
After letting the primer, quote unquote primer, cure for roughly a day, I went back and I did the base coat again with Rust-Oleum Red, but again now with the Magic Reducer and Magic Hardener in the proportions recommended by the manufacturer.
All right, we are in the workshop. It's a mess in here. That's how you know we're getting work done. Look at that. Oh, man. Woe is me. But the bumper, man, came out fire, dude. These freaking, I forget what they're called, spotted lantern flies, I think. But the bumper, dude, the bumper is crazy. Looks really good, dude. Looks really, really good. I'm happy with this. I'm not clear coating this at all, that's for sure. It looks great, man. I don't care about the orange peel, bro. It looked great. I am hype on this. And if I'm hype on it, that's all that matters. You know, when I talk to a painter, right, and I say, I need to paint something for my car, they tell me to do it the right way, which is fine. I should be doing it the right way. problem with doing it the right way is, one, we don't have the supplies, right? We're finishing up whatever supplies we have. But two, to fix this the correct way, we need to wet sand it, wet sand it, wet sand it, polish it, and then hopefully it gets all the glass, the orange peel out. And the problem with this enamel is you can't lay it on thick enough to, do that, because it doesn't cover very well, and it doesn't cure very well when you lay it on thick like that. So if there's not enough coats and you're sanding it, then it goes down to the primer and you have to repaint it. It's so, yeah, I talked to my buddy and he was like, you didn't dilute it enough. So we'll change the dilution mix for the front bumper. But the good news is we're doing the dreaded, so whenever you buy an aftermarket bumper for one of these 93 Civics and you take it to a paint shop, they always paint these grills, and it's the most annoying thing. So, the last time I painted my bumper and this time, we masked off all the grills, even the little lip. You see that there? And it's hard to see on camera, but there's a little mark somewhere here that goes along the length of the bumper, and it marks where we need to leave the black on the bumper, because these cars have black trim on the bottom of the rear and front bumpers. Can't really see it here, but we're gonna need to basically trace the line when I find it, and then go all the way across the bumper, take all the stickers off, clean it, and then lay up some primer on it, and then base coat, right? Lots of work.
For such an ugly winter, this has really been a beautiful summer so far, and I'm very excited about all the sun. Anyway, we got started with mixing up some reducer to thin the paint out, which is what you see me doing here, and then hardener, which helps it cure. Again, in the ratios recommended by the manufacturer. We mixed it up. I bought some paint mixing sticks this time, not digging for screwdrivers and random crap in my garage like I normally do. So we're moving on up in the world. We're moving on up. Got the gun attached to the thingy, and then we sprayed the box to test our pattern. And then we just laid down our first coat, tried to go light, and then subsequent coats would build up over top of that after the first coat's tacked up.
Welcome back, y'all. Another day of spraying rustoleum on car parts. So we changed the dilution ratio, and it didn't really help the base coat, the primer at all. And when we sprayed it yesterday, I had to do a jillion coats to get the white to stick and show up. And now, with the same dilution ratio, at least I think, on the base coat, it's so thick we're now getting runs. It's really frustrating. We have the trim piece sprayed. It's got drips and runs in it as well. Really annoying. We're making do. So we're gonna wait about 20 minutes, and then we're going to spray again. So, definitely a lot of orange peel, which again, y'all know we're gonna have orange peel, but what I'm really concerned about is just coverage at this point. Again, it's a race car. We are making good progress on masking. So the plan here is to basically mask all the areas, obviously, that we don't want to paint, and then put plastic down. So plastic down to cover this door, the back of the side skirt, the windshield, the hood, the fender, just put plastic down everywhere. And I think I'm actually going to spray this hood, or this roof, because the black look, I did it because the guy asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said, sure, why not? But it's pretty, I don't know, it's just immature, you know what I mean? And I really want to spray that hood too, but we'll see if we have time for that. All right, y'all. So, yeah, as I mentioned, quite a bit of orange peel, but it is mostly dry. It's definitely not like cured, like fully cured, but it's dried, and we pulled off all of the masking tape. pretty happy with that. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good for, you know, rustoleum. But we're in the process of finishing masking stuff up and deciding how I want to paint this. So for example, do I want to open this door and then use this as my masking line? Or do I want to close this door, which would be easier, and then use this as the masking line and only sand down to here, and then the paint will be kind of feathered into the corners here. There really is no perfect solution here. The best solution is to fully take this car apart and paint it. But we're just trying to kind of like make this event and have the car in one piece and in one color so that it doesn't look terrible from 5 feet away. So the roof is all masked off. I didn't take any of the trim off. Like I said, it's not, you know, to do this properly, you take all of the trim off. And I just didn't want to do that. So this is all masked. We're gonna sand this down, and we're not gonna go crazy with sanding. We're not gonna take it to metal or anything. We're not gonna do any body fill or anything like that. We're just taking it down probably to 220 grit, then to a 400 grit, then to a 600 grit maybe. And then we're just gonna, we're gonna use some plastic. We got this stuff here, this 3M hand masker, and yeah, there you go. Casper the Friendly Ghost had left his exoskeleton in my garage. We got the car wrapped up. This 3M stuff is pretty cool, this cling wrap. I'm hoping that the masking tape on the rafters holds this plastic adequately. I'm really concerned about this area, so I'm probably gonna end up like securing this better somehow, just because I don't want it to come and smack the car. But it's kind of windy out today, unfortunately, so it's like pulling the plastic in and out. It's kind of like when you take a shower and like the shower curtain like touches you. Yeah. What I realized quickly about this portion of the car was that I needed more than 600 milliliters of spray for an ideal coverage, but this whole car is kind of like a Bob Ross painting. It's just a bunch of happy accidents, and to be honest with you, the final product didn't look too bad anyway. Bad news is that this stuff is really sketching me out. The good news is that the paint laid down pretty good. And the even better news is we didn't waste supplies. This 3M stuff is pretty decent. I do wish that I had something a little bit better. I know that there are like DIY options out there that people love to use, like the inflatable Amazon tents and stuff, but it ain't that deep, y'all. Just kind of complaining at this point. So yeah, we're gonna let this dry overnight, and then we'll put a base coat on top of this. She's all clean. She cured overnight. I wet sanded the roof because that was the roughest. You can see some tiger striping in the primer. So I'm hoping that I don't need to go too crazy on the base coat to make it stick. But, you know, with that being said, we did clean it as best we could. It's not easy. It's not easy, folks. We're learning, and we're making do with what we have. So we're gonna mix up some paint and get going.
Painting is one of those things where you only understand how expensive it is once you try to do it yourself. Not only is the prep really important, where you sand everything, etc., understand your chemicals, but also the environment. You'll notice this plastic hitting me all the time is kind of annoying to deal with, but also lighting, right? I went way too heavy on this quarter panel and ended up getting some drips as a result. So frustrating, but overall not horrible.
You know, It's never gonna dry, bro. This car. Oh my god. All right, y'all. Sorry I've been so busy. I haven't really filmed much. But the car is painted. The bumpers are on, and I'm gonna walk y'all around the car. We even have the hood on the car, and yeah. So walk y'all around. The paint is still not fully cured. You can see, so I got damaged here. Some of the other corners on the bumpers got damaged, just moving things around. But it's just not fully cured. You know, it's alcohol enamel paint. It's gonna take a long time to cure. We got some damage moving it around the yard. You know what I mean? It is a backyard spray paint job, but we got some new Johnnies on the taillights. So we got the Euro taillights. Those look pretty sick. And they're matching now. So we had them not matching for a long time, and you know, it's like, who's that car with the mismatched taillights that's beating you right now? And it's like, oh, it's Dylan. You'll notice we also have no numbers and no contingency stickers on this car. So we're gonna be putting my business name on this car because my business is sponsoring the events, and also why not get some publicity, right? You remember in my last video that I made the car uglier to be legal in ST5. So I found another thing that the rules are not super clear on, that one of the group leaders told me about. They said, why are you removing your hood? It's legal. And then I sent them a picture of the hood and I said, look, it's illegal. And they said, no, this doesn't protrude. That's a vent. That's fine. These protrude. They stick up. So you need to get rid of those. All right, we're trying to watch the NASCAR race. These smart TVs are like the bane of my existence, dude. Like, it doesn't matter what I guess I buy the cheap brands, or I have in the past, and so like they give me all these issues. But bro, like, how hard is it? Whatever. So anyway, as I mentioned before, we had to take these vents off because they were illegal. So the car now has no vents on it, but we now have open holes in the hood. So I got this plexiglass, and we're gonna trace this shape onto the plexiglass, cut it out, and then hopefully we'll have some nice covers for that.
Whenever trying to transfer the shape of a relatively flat object onto another surface, I've always had luck using masking tape. So that's what I tried using first, but it didn't really go so well. And so I ended up actually trying a different method.
Stenhouse back there in row 12. Top
That first, my ears are ringing, and you'll figure out why shortly. I should have worn hearing protection, but so that first go didn't work. I tried to use masking tape. It was not working. Then I taped together a bunch of paper from this notebook over here. My ears. And then what I did was I basically transferred that shape to the plexiglass. Now this looks sick, by the way. I'm super hyped with this look. It's super show car-y, but I think it's really cool. So I'm gonna leave it clear. This one didn't come out great. You can see it cracked here, it cracked here, it cracked here, and that's basically from rushing it. So you basically have to use a jigsaw with a special blade. So this is a plexiglass blade, and then you have to put it on a really low speed, so that way you're not cutting super fast. If you cut fast, it cracks. So first I cracked it cutting fast, then I slowed the blade down, and it still cracked it because I was pushing too hard. So the second one came out really, really nice. Really nice. So now this one, so we basically are using some M4 by 0.7 screws with lock nuts on the back to secure it onto the hood. And they are right here. So just regular Phillips heads, which is less than ideal, but it is what it is. And then we're using this Dremel with a some sort of burr bit, right? Something like that. Die grinder bits. This one is really pointy, so we're basically grinding a hole. We're not cutting a hole. If we cut a hole, it would basically crack. So we have to go really slow with this, not use a ton of pressure, and then just put the holes in.
an option for them. I think the line for the outside line.
This was definitely a gratifying process for me because it was the first time I've ever worked with plexiglass and gotten the results that I wanted. In the past, I've tried to make plexiglass windows like Lexan windows for my car, but I cracked the glass immediately, and I think it was just because I wasn't patient enough, firstly, and then secondly, I wasn't using the right tools. But also having some experience with transferring templates and orders of operations really helps as well. So it's just, the name of the game is experience, right?
And yeah, I mean,
What's going on, y'all? We are back in the garage. We're gonna try and wrap this video up tonight, but the car is done, y'all. As you can see, we got vinyls on it, and we're packing up for the track. Let me walk you around the car. I'll show you the vinyls, and then I'm gonna get you a video of the car outside. It's gonna be nice and cinematic, I hope. So there she is, boys and girls. We got see-through panels on this hood, y'all. See-through panels. I showed you that. The consulting business website and the logo on the hood. Mike Waller from Wind Shadow printed out these vinyls for me. We still got El Tigre nameplate, John. Consulting business on the side. We got our numbers. 139 ST5, and then we got our new tail lights with the Pimp Edition, John, right there. 139 ST5, and the paint looks pretty good, y'all. I mean, it's mostly cured. I can't really smell it anymore. It's hard now. I can put a fingernail to it and I won't damage it. And it's funny because, like, I had a lot of people message me and they're like, when you're ready to do the real paint job, let me know. And I think it's because of this side of the car where you can kind of see it's a little bit dull. And that side of the car isn't even what I painted recently. Same here, like I didn't get good coverage with the clear coat. And I think people are like, yo, that I can tell it's a rusto job, but it looks all right. But like this side, aside from the drip here, which looks terrible right there, it's kind of good, dude. Like I saw Tony Angelo painted one of their cars with tractor paint, and it was okay, but it wasn't as good as this. And so, kind of hype, y'all. But get you some cinematic pictures, maybe, or some pictures outside, and wrap this video up. All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna wrap up this video here. So I appreciate y'all following along. The next video is gonna pick up where this video lifts off or whatever. So this car is basically almost ready to get loaded up on the trailer, and we're getting ready for our second race of the season. So I appreciate y'all watching, and make sure that you like and comment and subscribe. I appreciate all the viewers out there and taking your time to watch this video. It takes a lot of work to put these together, so consider sharing with your friends. And just want to say thank you again. So EJ2 Track Rat out. Peace.